So, what are the instructional strategies for meaningful online learning? First, instructional strategies are what instructors and instructional designers implement to facilitate student learning. There are three types of instructional strategies for meaningful online learning: the exploratory strategies, the supportive strategies, and the dialogic strategies. What are the supportive instructional strategies? They are the strategies that enacted and implemented by the instructors or teacher or coach or mentor or the instructional designers. It supports the students' performance and the skill and the process of learning. Also, they are observing students during their implementation of learning tasks and learning activities, why they are performing their activities, why they perform their assignments. The dialogic instructional strategies, the strategies that promote dialogic, articulation, discussion, negotiation, and engagement activities like collaboration and reflection. And the exploratory instructional strategies is the strategies that promote exploratory activities like to explore, for example, a problem through problem solving, to role play, to create something, to test the hypothesis, and so on. So let's start with the supportive instructional strategy. So the supportive strategies include scaffolding, modeling and explaining, coaching, and mentoring. The first strategy in supportive instructional strategies is scaffolding. Scaffolding means that instructors will employ a variety of instructional techniques that use to move students progressively toward a deeper and strong understanding of learning content and to become independent in learning process. So the process of scaffolding, the instructor can use the identification of what students can do, sharing goals of learning, developing ongoing assessment of learning needs, aiding or providing individualized assistance, reflection on activities, and determine what worked well and what are the area of improvement. Let's take example of scaffolding. So scaffolding, like the instructor will activate the prior knowledge by asking a variety of open questions, showing students an example of the intended outcome before they complete the task. Like, for example, I show example of doing the assignment, one of the analysis of online course. Also, an instructor will facilitate students' engagement and participation by asking open questions, by asking them to work on activities in class activities like what we did in whiteboard, to recommend and to say some examples of the content under studying and so on. And also the instructor will use graphic organizers to assimilate new knowledge. For example, the instructor will use mind mapping to illustrate what scaffolding means. Also to guide students to predict for what they expect occur in a story. For example, maybe ask students to read a story and then you will ask them, hey students, what do you expect to happen in the story if you are going to develop onto or write this story? What are the events you predict will happen? For example, is that guy will die? Is that guy will win? Is that guy will lose, for example? Or maybe what is going to, what you expect or predict what it's going to happen or occur in the experiment that you are doing. And also to break a complex task into easier steps to facilitate the students' achievement. For example, now we are learning about meaningful online learning, but I cannot give you the whole characteristics and principles and the whole types of instructional strategies and how you plan your online course in one session, but I breaking up those content into 3 weeks. And even the videos that I uploaded for you, also I split them into 3 videos or maybe 3 videos or maybe 2 videos, depends on the contents of the topic. So this is a scaffolding, like the instructors will provide you aid or maybe help or maybe guiding documents to guide you throughout the learning process to make it easier for you as a learner. So these are about the scaffolding. Think about it. Write like a mind map. What does it mean? So you can differentiate between the scaffolding strategies with other strategies in this model. So this is about the scaffolding. Let's move now to take an example. For example, so this is a task for a student. Read this 9-page science articles. Write a detailed essay on the topic. Explore it and turn it by Wednesday. Okay, so here, this is the task for the students. So scaffolding here, what instructors and how instructors support students. So the scaffolding is breaking up the learning into chunks and providing a tool or structure with each chunk. When scaffolding reading, for example, you might review the text and discuss key vocabulary, or chunk the text and then read and discuss as you go. Then students will master the skills and become independent. So here, the students are not going to read the science article in one session or in one class, but the teacher split those articles into different pieces, and the students, they read, and then the instructor or the teacher discuss with them. They highlight the key vocabulary, they understand it, and then in the next session they continue reading, they discuss, and until they understand and they master the skills and they become independent in reading any science articles in the future. Yeah, I will give you support, I will give you advice, I will give you the information that will help you to accomplish and to perform your assignment. But those scaffolding, it will be slightly get it out from you until you become independent. So I need you to become independent. I need you to master all these skills without any support in the future, or when you perform your assignment, you don't need support from me, but because you master those skills and you become independent in your learning. So this is about the scaffolding strategies. Let's move to the second strategies, which is the modeling and explaining from the definition. So the modeling, it means showing, and explaining, it means telling. So those modeling and explaining support the students' understanding of content, skills, and knowledge. The modeling or showing shows how a process unfolds. What do you understand from this process? Do you understand the steps? Do you understand the process? Do you understand the procedures? And explaining involves giving reasons why it happens that way. That way, explain, justify, give me examples, give me evidence, and so on. So I will ensure your understanding. So this is about modeling and about explaining. And you can see there are interrelationships and overlaps between those strategies in the meaningful online learning, and we'll talk about it later on the slides. The process of modeling and explaining is to engage students in active listening and questioning with implementing active and cooperative learning. Engage students in constructive thinking through observation, articulation, and reflection. And also students will present concepts at its level of complexity. Let's take example in order to understand those processes. Some examples are to ask students to work on exploring a problem. I will give you a complex problem, like for example, the climate change. This is complex problem, and I will ask you to work in groups, so in cooperative learning. Okay, and to explore this problem, you will understand what are the causes and effects of the variables that contribute to increase the climate change in the world. So now I engage you in active learning, in cooperative learning, in constructive learning, and also in intentional learning, because you know now what you are going to do. You are active participants. You construct a knowledge because now you are exploring the problem. Explore the information, define the causes and effects of this issue, and then you will propose solution through showing the solution and explaining and justifying them. So this is what our modeling and explaining strategies does mean and how you can implement in your online courses with your students or with any clients if you are working as an instructional designer. Let's take an example of modeling and explaining. In English class, the teacher can show step by step on how to write an essay. Then the students can begin working on this second by themselves. So the first one, they will go step by step. The teacher will go step by step with the students on writing an essay. But the second essay, students will write by themselves because in the first essay, the teacher showing them modeling how to write the essay, what are the steps, and explain what are the importance of each step, how to write it, what are the process, what are the procedures, and so on. So by doing the first paragraph together or the first essay, the teacher can address what to do and what not to do. Immediately, students will know and can actually see the steps they should take. Is this clear, students? So now we learn about scaffolding and we understand what and how teacher can support the students and can implement scaffolding in designing and planning for online courses or for units or for lesson plans. And now we learn about the modeling and explaining, and also we understand how it's implemented in your plan, the online course. The other strategies in supportive instruction strategies are coaching and mentoring. It means that observing and mentoring students' performance when completing a task by providing feedback, hints, and assistance to bring students performing to expert performance. So the instructor will assist students to attain their learning goals and overcoming barriers and challenges while and during performing their task. So what are the process? The process from its title, coaching and mentoring. So I will engage students in active learning, discussion, communication, and cooperative learning. So they will discuss with the peers, they will discuss and communicate with the instructor to understand the problem or the issue or the subject or topic that they are studying. And also the process is by engaging students in constructive thinking through articulation and reflection. And also here we are preparing students to have the ownership of the learning process and to understand what are the autonomy learning and to become self-directed learning or learner. So what are the techniques in order to implement the strategy coaching and mentoring in designing and planning for your online course? So by coaching should be perceived as a collaborative process that is not only enhance the mastery of skills and knowledge, but also to enhance the students' ability of self-directed learning, self-confidence, and personal growth. So here, when I implement coaching and mentoring now, like train you, guide you throughout the process. Like I give you advice, I give you feedback on your work. So here you know what are the goal you want to accomplish in this assignment, or you will set your goal. You understand what are the deadline and how many days I need to complete this task. So I will manage my time. I will organize the information that I have. So now I will become self-directed learning, and I have confidence on completing this task. And also this is like a skills of personal growth. So here you are, self-directed learner and also self-regulated learner, because you study and you perform this task or this assignment in your own pace, in your own time, by yourself, or maybe work in a group because you will collaborate with the instructor and also with the student. However, here is like you will become expert. I need you to become expert in this field. in designing, for example, online course. In the future, will not get advice and help and assistance from your instructors or from your mentor. Let's take example about coaching and mentoring. So here students conduct a research study on the impact of active learning in the quality of teaching and learning. The instructor will provide the required resources, examples, hints, and how they carry out this research. So the instructor will provide feedback on the students' works until they finish their research and become expert in this field. So this is about coaching and mentoring.